he's not resonating with his base. Isn't that the biggest concern here? Young voters, Hispanic voters, black voters, they all are saying that Biden isn't doing a good enough job.
Well, I think people are frustrated because of the global situation we're in terms of the economics, inflation, the wars overseas. But that doesn't mean they're going to vote for someone else. We might always wish for this generic candidate.
They can stay home,
with,
though.
The perfect. Oh, they could. But when we look at the polling, actually, and we talk about young people, young Democrats are far more likely and excited to come out. According to the latest poll from the Harvard Institute of Politics, it shows Republican young people are much more likely to stay home. So we see that President Biden is still doing good with Democrats. He's overwhelmingly performing with the primary candidates that he has. And so, yeah, we always say we would like someone younger and more handsome and charming and check all the boxes. But that perfect candidate doesn't exist. And that's why Democrats are rallying in solidarity behind President Biden, because he's walked the walk, he's talked the talk, he's delivered. And we can point to each economic indicator, whether it's the stock market, unemployment, real income going up. These are just the realities. And I say Republicans are really in a bad position because all they're doing is attacking, and not putting up policies. President Biden is actually doing things. Right. And of course, in politics, if you want to make an omelet, you've got to crack some eggs. And that's what President Biden has done. Republicans haven't been able to get anything done.
It is a bold statement, David, to say that about a president who has the lowest approval ratings in the modern era. And also, I will say, Gallup shows here that his approval with Democrats is down from 83% last month to 78%. So it's not heading in the right direction. I understand your point, but we'll see what happens with these polls.
Well, it's up with independents and it's up overall. With independents and up overall, that polling.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to need to win.
His numbers are unacceptably low. He's specifically complained about the fact that his economic message is not resonating with folks. If you're feeling this bullish about things heading into the new year, do you think that he should go back to Bidenomics, or should he abandon that entirely?
No, it's a great point. And I think, look, the policies are working. The messaging is not. And that's why you see this latest shift to say, hey, if you don't believe all the good stuff I'm talking about, just wait till you have an alternative like Donald Trump, who's talked about things like repealing the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, which would take away health insurance for millions of Americans. So I think when you contrast the difference between the opponents, that's where Biden starts to really take off. The oldest trick in the book is that negative campaigning works because no one believes the positive. It's easy to believe the negative. So Bidenomics is a mistake in terms of just boasting, saying, hey, I passed this, you should feel good. He has passed it. The economic indicators are catching up. But in the meantime, he has to contrast. And that's why you're going to see him talk a lot more about MAGAnomics and what that really means for the American people.
What could possibly turn this around for President Biden? When you're looking at these numbers, I mean, this is the fifth time that he's been below 40% this year, guys. Let's start off with David.
Yeah, well, I think, these are not the poll numbers that you want to see. But if we look really closely at those polls, what Gallup said is that he made a 7-point jump with independents and has actually moved up 2 points since the last favorability polling came out. So, these aren't great numbers. But look, President Biden inherited a very difficult situation, whether it's domestic or foreign, with Hamas, with Russia, with inflation, with the border. You name it, there's a problem there. But President Biden hasn't shied away. He's passed legislation that's made a difference. We hit record highs on the stock market last week. We've got record lows in unemployment. So I think as those economic indicators come out, we'll see these poll numbers soften and Biden actually start to do better. I think his messaging hasn't been working on the economy, but his policy has.
Well, Chris, I mean, look, he may have